Hey everyone, I want to take a quick minute and just address the elephant in the room. My cat, even though she's upset with me right now, is still cuter than I am, and I'm okay with that. Socks also doesn't like being on camera, and I'm okay with that. I don't blame her because I move around a lot when I talk. Anyway, the point is that there are 5 individuals in this house, and out of those 5, Socks is mine. She doesn't go to anybody else. I am the one that feeds her, I give her water, I am the only one that has the privilege of cleaning out her litter box, and if she wants attention, I'm the one that she comes to. I like to think that we have a bond. We are bonded through like experience. And that's the experience of abuse. See, when I got Socks, it wasn't like I was looking for a cat. I'll be completely honest, I am not a cat person. Give me a loving dog that is at least knee-high, and I am just fine. You'll see I have 3 of them, and they will move in and out of frame every time that I make a video. So if you just keep looking, you'll see them. But I've never owned a cat before. Not owned. I hate the idea that we own animals. I have never taken care of a cat before. So it was a lot of learning as I go. And yeah, I made some mistakes, but hey, who doesn't? The way that I got Socks is a little bit different than, say, somebody who went to an animal shelter, or really a lot of people who find their cats as strays. Yes, I did get Socks as a stray, but the story is a little bit different. At the time, I lived on a military installation, and I guess some people don't see an issue in just putting their cat outside and letting it fend for itself if they have to PCS, which is when you move from one duty station to another. I'm assuming that's what happened with Socks. We did try to see if there was an owner for her, and nobody came forth. This means that somebody had just put her out on the street to join a bunch of other cats that roamed the streets under the same situations. Now, it's not like these cats weren't taken care of. A lot of us knew that they were there, and some of us would leave food out for them. So it wasn't like they were starving or anything like that. But they did fall prey quite often to children. Children can be something else. And a couple of neighborhood kids managed to catch Socks, which is no small feat because she was, and still is, exceptionally fast. But they had caught her, and they were doing things like pulling her fur or holding her tail while she tried to run away. I saw this outside my window, and instead of calling the police or anything like that, I marched my happy butt outside. I grabbed Socks from one of the kids' hands, and I brought her in my house. And she hasn't left since. I know that those kids were not the only kids that got their hands on her. To this day, she remains exceptionally scared of smaller children. She would rather hide than interact with them. And she is skittish around new people until they pet her a couple times and she knows that they aren't a threat. This is a natural response. And I know how she feels. I said before that I have PTSD. But despite being a military veteran, my PTSD is not a result of my time in service. My PTSD was a result of growing up in a household with a parent that suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. Normally, when we talk about somebody who's narcissistic, we think about somebody who is exceptionally vain. They are very into themselves. And when we talk about narcissistic personality disorder, that's not necessarily far from the mark, but there is more to it. I want to read to you the definition from the Mayo Clinic on what narcissistic personality disorder is and explain to you how it can affect a person's life. So the Mayo Clinic says that narcissistic personality disorder is one of several types of personality disorders. It is a mental condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind this mask of confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. A narcissistic personality disorder causes problems in many areas of life, such as relationships, work, school, or financial affairs. People with narcissistic personality disorder may be generally unhappy and disappointed when they're not given the special favors or admiration they believe they deserve. They may find their relationships unfulfilling, and others may not enjoy being around them. The treatment for narcissistic personality disorders normally centers around talk therapy. So, I grew up with a parent who suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. And yeah, a lot of that is on the mark. The big thing that was different between my mom and this definition is when they said that they may find their relationships unfulfilling and others may not enjoy being around them. The thing is, everyone loves my mom. My mom is a fantastic storyteller, and she has a lot of charisma. She could get anybody to like her without trying very hard. My mom craved attention, and it had to be the kind of attention that she wanted. Often I was used as a tool, a way for her to get the attention that she wanted. When she had me, it fed into that side of her that people would give her attention if she was a good mother. So, in front of others, in public, or whenever somebody else may have been able to see us, my mom was a great parent, doting, concerned about what was going on in my life, and she gave affection openly. But behind closed doors, it was a completely different story. My mom oftentimes locked me away inside my room because she didn't want to deal with me. Or if the weather was nice on the weekends, I would be told to go outside. But I wouldn't be allowed to come in until the streetlights came on, and sometimes this meant that I also didn't get lunch. I was made to study SAT questions when I was 10 years old. The reason being because if I used big words, that meant that she was doing something right, and people would tell her, "Oh, what a great job you're doing with your daughter." It was kind of sucky at 10 to have to study for like 3 hours SAT words that I didn't understand at all. I could barely pronounce some of them. It also meant that if I did something wrong, there would be punishment. And it wasn't typically like you're grounded to your room. It was, I got locked in my room. We had a doorknob on my door that you would find on the front door of most homes. And it allowed her to lock me inside. When I was younger, I didn't mind so much because I had toys and things that I could play with. But at one point, I threw a fit over cleaning my room, which is something that I think a lot of kids my age did. And as a result, she came in and took everything that I owned. Now, I know some people don't believe that children own things, that They are things that are given to them by their parents or friends. And that really, until you're out on your own and you actually have responsibilities and pay for things, that nothing you own is really yours. My mom thought that very much. She also thought I was a thing that she owned. So she came in and she put everything that I owned into trash bags. She also took my desk, my dresser, my bed frame, and put all of those into the closet and locked them away. They were technically in the same room I was in, but I couldn't get to them. I was left with a mattress and a rotating selection of clothing, but even that wasn't kept in my room. When I was in my room, I had nothing, just a mattress. Eventually, I would be given the chance to earn these items back, but what she called earning the items back, I called moving to a new home. My closet, it wasn't big, and because of that, she couldn't put my bed frame, dresser, desk, or toys in there. It legitimately only had room for my clothes. So she took the desk, my toys got donated or thrown away, I'm not sure which, and I got my dresser and my bed frame back. Toys were not a big part of my life moving forward. If I got new toys, they were typically taken away not long after I had them, and there were times where I didn't even notice. But that was just how life was for me. Locks on my bedroom weren't the only locks in my life. There were also locks on the fridge, the freezer, and the pantry. These were so that she could control the amount of food that I ate and when I ate. She would tell other people that I had an unhealthy obsession with food, and it meant that she had to regulate for me because I couldn't do it for myself. This wasn't the case. Now, yes, when I was 6 years old, I went through this really weird phase where I was all about maple syrup and I would drink it out of the bottle. I know it sounds really gross, and thinking back on it now, it really kind of churns my stomach. I'm not a big fan of maple syrup as an adult. But 6 years after that phase went through, a phase that only lasted like 2 weeks, 6 years later, she still used that as an excuse as to why locks were put on the pantry. And it wasn't like at the time locks had ever been put on the pantry. It wasn't until I was about 12 years old that they appeared. But she used this story and told everybody that it was something that had happened recently. And everybody patted her on the back because what a great mom she is for making sure that I make healthy choices. As a result, I have a huge issue with food as an adult. I don't have an eating disorder, at least not that I've been diagnosed with, but I can tell you that I eat only once a day, maybe twice. These are the ways that things that my mom have done have affected me as an adult. And there's a lot more to this story, including physical abuse that I didn't even touch on here. The point is that living with a person with narcissistic personality disorder is really hard, especially if you're the child and therefore the object that belongs to that parent. There are a lot of different ways that narcissistic personality disorder manifests in different people. But over the next week, I'm going to take the time to discuss traits that a person with narcissistic personality disorder has, and talk about my own life and the things that happen to me and how I have a hard time interpreting some things that I do now as an adult because of it. I know that some people might hear the examples that I've given here and think that I have been relatively shallow, that what I have gone through was not a big deal. And the examples that I've given here have been mild in comparison to some of the things that I've been through. I don't blame you for having that thought, but I do ask that you hear the rest of my story throughout the week and then make your judgment. I don't blame my mom. My mom is sick. I do blame her illness. And if there is anything that I blame my mom for, it's not getting help. But people with narcissistic personality disorder rarely seek help because they don't see that they have a problem. I know this has been long, and thank you for bearing with me. I do want to leave you with one last thing, and that is, oftentimes when people hear what I'm about to start talking about over the next week, I'm asked if I could change those experiences, would I? And the thing is that there's no sense in wondering what might have been. No, I wouldn't change those experiences because they did shape the person that I am today, and they did lead me down the life that I have right now. And quite honestly, I'm happy with where I'm at. I am self-aware enough to know that I need help for my mental health, which I wasn't before. Really, I wasn't aware of the situation I was in. But that's kind of part of the thing about being an object to a person with narcissistic personality disorder. I had a career in the military that I am proud of. I have two amazing children that drive me up a wall, but I love them. And I'm married to a great man and have been married for almost 11 years. Who's to say that I'd be sitting here right now talking to you if I had changed something about the way I grew up in the past? So no, overall, I wouldn't change it because I am who I am, and I'm sitting here talking to you today because of those experiences. I'll talk to you all later. I'll try to get some more videos up throughout the week, and I hope you all stay happy and safe.